Happy Halloween! The album cover of Nightmare is a perfect spooky piece of artwork for the occasion. It has become a bit of a meme how uncreative Avenged Sevenfold is with their album's artwork. It would seem that every second album they put out is literally just the death bat. However, this is one of the more genuinely creative decisions regarding the Skull and Batwings combo. Here it takes on the figure of the Grim Reaper. Death has literally consumed the band, which is meta given what this album is about. The rest of the image has a surreal feel to it. It is as if it takes place in two dimensions simultaneously. It features a girl lying in bed, but it also looks like she is lying in a graveyard. The headboard of the bed is made of bones. The plant matter around her covers her like a blanket. Even the window in the background could merely appear as if it's a fence of the cemetery. In fact, I had a physical copy of this CD when it came out. And it wasn't until much later that it even occurred to me that she was in her bedroom having a nightmare, hence the name of the record. I originally thought she was just in a graveyard, because I had only glanced at the cover prior. Finally, of course, on the tombstone, the word forever is written, and the letters spelling Rev are larger than the rest of the word. As many know, Avenged Sevenfold's drummer, Jimmy Sullivan, whose nickname was The Rev, died of an overdose during the recording of this album, which drastically changed the direction of the album, and of course had a huge impact on the band. There are still some parts of the record where Jimmy, The Rev Sullivan, sings, which are from prior recordings, and are a bit haunting given that he is essentially singing about himself from beyond the grave. However, the actual drumming on this album is done by none other than Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater. I think this was a fantastic choice. I don't know much about drumming, but I know he's good, and he seems to have brought some of the prog metal from Dream Theater with him, as Nightmare is one of Avenged Sevenfold's more prog-influenced records. As far as the genres of the album go, I would say it's a mix of prog metal, hard rock,
Don't you start no fight. But you can't win this fight. I have to question what's with the violent aggression.
and melodic metalcore.
If I relax, I know the strength in those who taught me of the power in the ties that bind. Die alone. This is the one thing that I want to.
Which also could be said of their other albums, but Nightmare leans more towards prog metal than the others. City of Evil leaned more hard rock,
No one can save me, and you know I don't want the attention.
and Waking the Fallen leaned more melodic metalcore. Back to the thematic aspect of Nightmare, it is about grief. The stages of grief are shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. This album primarily deals with bargaining and depression. One thing that bridges the gap between these two is the aptly named Faustian Bargain, also known as the Deal with the Devil. This is loosely what the title track is about. It is about a man who has done his deal with the devil, the bargaining,
You should have known the price of evil.
and is now in hell, which is depression.
It hurts to know that you belong here.
The bargaining stage is a series of what-ifs, an attempt to question or alter reality. An example would be, what if it's not real? What if it's all a bad dream? A bad dream is what? A bad dream is a nightmare.
It's your fucking nightmare.
This is not only why the girl on the cover is portrayed as dreaming, but why the album opens with what sounds like a lullaby. It evokes the idea that it could all be a bad dream. The realization that the nightmare is real is the beginning of depression. This opening track mocks this new resident of hell, saying that they should have inevitably known that they would end up here. It is the natural consequence of bargaining with the devil. I love the guitar crunch on this track,
Feel the fire, feel the hate.
as well as the frantic pace of the vocals and drums.
Stop the madness,
and the piano during the chorus is a nice touch.
And it hurts to know that you belong here, yeah.
Track 2, Welcome to the Family. I've heard that this track is a welcome to Mike Portnoy for joining the band for this record. It even starts with a drum fill. However, I'm not sure I buy this explanation. It would be weird to call someone older than you kid, which this track frequently does.
Hey kid, do I have your attention?
Especially if it's someone that your former drummer looked up to. I view this song as a continuation of the theme of bargaining giving way to depression. It is basically saying, welcome to the club. As I mentioned, bargaining is a series of what-ifs. It is usually a response to a lose-lose situation, one where you can no longer be in denial, yet anger solves nothing. It is tempting in these moments to bargain your way out and fight against the unpleasant reality. As the song says, have you figured it out? You can't win this fight.
So have you figured it out? You can't win this fight.
In the end, we'll surely lose, but that's alright. The time of bargaining is over. One thing that I think is neat about this track is that it has a breakdown, similar to many melodic metalcore bands. However, instead of having screaming vocals over top of it, there is whispering instead. Not only is this unique, but much like the lullaby in the cover, it fits the theme rather well. Track 3, Danger Line. This song starts with what almost sounds like a marching beat, but with all the instruments. This is somewhat fitting, as this song is about a soldier. At this point, I'm starting to feel like I have deja vu. Much like Metallica's And Justice for All, Nightmare is an album recorded after the death of a member, takes the band in a more unconventional prog metal direction, has a song about a soldier, and is probably the most underrated of their respective discographies. I am sure there are more parallels, but I will leave it at that. Instrumentally, Danger Line is not too dissimilar from what we've already heard by this point, but vocally, Shadow starts to belt it out more. And towards the end, we see the softer side of Avenged Sevenfold. Something we'll see more of soon enough. This album is surprisingly soft for a metal record. There's some good contrast here. Lyrically, as I said, it is about a soldier. He gets shot and is dying. He says, I've never put much faith in up above, but now I'm hoping someone's there.
Never put my faith in up above, but now I'm hoping someone's there.
This is yet another example of bargaining. He is pleading with a higher power that he admits he doesn't even believe in. He is not in denial, nor has he reached acceptance. He is right in the middle. And the melancholic outro sets the depressive tone for the rest of the album. And it's probably just a coincidence, but I think the whistling is a nice touch, as it is something that both children and soldiers do, and thus provides a great juxtaposition between innocent naivete and the grim reality. Track 4, Buried Alive. This track begins with a strings arrangement, another example of softer Avenged Sevenfold. Continuing with the bargaining and depression themes, the first half of the song is about disillusionment. The softer parts refer to hopes and dreams as vacant and decrepit. The character in the song has become too disillusioned to believe in anything anymore. The chorus discusses how he has become buried alive by depression.
Darkness is kept like concealed, and it seems I've been buried alive.
The second half of the song seems to be from the perspective of the man's inner demons, who are tormenting and mocking him. They even mention taking the man's soul, which ties this all back to the Faustian bargain. The bargain is giving your soul away. Without the soul, man is a husk, undead and unmotivated as a hollow. This is analogous to depression. The guitar crunch is also back, and makes this song a highlight of the album, if not flat out the best track. Track 5, Natural Born Killer. It has a nice, thrashy, groovy opening. This track is about how the media glorifies serial killers. There are lots of terms and references to cameras subtly put into the lyrics, such as click, snap, and fish lens.
One snap for the diet, one click to end the day. Would cross the fish lines we all see through.
Some people will sell their souls for fame. The POV character singing the lyrics is a murderer in search of herostratic fame.
And when you ask about it, you can rest assured I'll give you my best side.
However, in light of the Rev's passing, this song could be seen as a middle finger to the media glorifying anyone's death in general. I'm skeptical of the assertion that literally every song on the record is about the Rev. However, given the content of the lyrics, I have a hard time believing it is a pure coincidence, especially with lyrics like, "Could it happen any other way?"
Could it happen any other way?
The Rev was only 1 year shy of the 27 Club, and died in what is considered a cliché for rock stars. So it seems this song could be a jab towards the media, who perpetuate the stereotype that rockers and metalheads are all drug addicts and of poor moral character. Track 6, So Far Away. Now this track is definitely about the Rev. This is the album's ballad, and the most well-known. I actually used to somewhat hate this song, as it's so mainstream, and it used to get a lot of radio play back in the day, and I just got sick of it. However, it has grown on me.
I have so much to say, but you're so far away.
It's much more straightforward and simple compared to the other tracks, but it is a nice tribute to the Rev, as well as a tribute to missed loved ones in general. It still manages to capture that gloomy feel that's on the rest of the record. Track 7, God Hates Us. The heaviness missing in So Far Away is more than made up for here. This is the most brutal track.
God hates us. God hates us all.
I view this song as somewhat ironic. On their previous record, Avenged Sevenfold made a song called Dear God, which is actually a country song of all things, and is arguably the most mainstream song that Avenged Sevenfold ever released. The song is about asking God to watch over a loved one. I imagine that the band felt somewhat betrayed, losing a band member after releasing such a track. So, God Hates Us could be interpreted as a cathartic release of anger in response. An ironic heel turn, going from a wholesome Christian country song to a borderline groove metal song that's quite blasphemous. However, rumor on the internet is that the Rev himself is the one who came up with the idea for the track, meaning, obviously, that he was still alive when they wrote it. Rumor has it that Jimmy, being the ENTP shitlord that he was, proposed that they make a song where they shout, God hates us. So, as strange as it is, this was probably the best tribute to him. An edgy troll song that later on gathered a new meaning. It also reminds me of Metallica's To Live Is To Die, as it has a similar, peaceful intro and outro. And given that they are both tributes to fallen bandmates, this is fitting. Track 8, Victim. This song has a strange opening. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. Sometimes I kind of vibe with it. Other times I am baffled by its inclusion. It is probably my least favorite part of the album. It doesn't help that it plays both at the beginning and at the end of the song, which already feels redundant, since the previous track already did the soft beginning and ending thing. That said, I do like the inclusion of the bells. And the rest of the song is still good. This song is definitely about the Rev. It speaks of how when someone dies, those left behind are essentially victims of a crime. There's one lyric in particular that really sticks out to me.
all need a reason just to stay. Some just can't be bothered to stick around another day.
Instrumentally, however, nothing particularly jumps out at me. From here on out, all the tracks are similar and have a ballad-type quality. The second half is much softer than the first half of the album. Track 9, Tonight the World Dies. Another ballad-type song. This one has a spooky, haunting atmosphere. For me, the highlights of this song are the visceral, pained chorus. And the lyric, consciously pretend.
I seem to find out better ways to consciously pretend.
Which ties into bargaining becoming depression once again. Track 10, Fiction. As some may know, Fiction was the Rev's other nickname. This track opens with some piano. This is infamously the last track that the Rev wrote before he died. They actually used the Rev's recorded vocals for this track. And Fiction has become controversial as it comes off as a suicide note. It is definitely the track with the most emotional weight to it.
Now I think I understand how this world can overcome a man.
Track 11, Save Me. This closing track is certainly an epic way to end the album. At almost 11 minutes long, this is pretty much a Dream Theater song. It makes good use of Portnoy's drumming. Save Me feels like a good summary for the rest of the album. It might be my favorite track, along with Buried Alive and Welcome to the Family, close behind it. The bargaining has faded away into complete depression, and the song ends with the band singing, Tonight We All Die Young. In conclusion, Nightmare is an album about grief, particularly bargaining and depression. It is an underrated masterpiece, and showcases that Avenged Sevenfold is more than just Baby's first metal band. Thank you for watching.